Hello, I am Kumar, Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science at the University of Pennsylvania. Thank you all for joining me for this 2020 virtual commencement ceremony. One of the things that unites all of us today is that we do not know what tomorrow will bring. We're living the reality of the many ways that the coronavirus pandemic has changed the world. When I sat down to determine what my words to you would be in this moment, it was close to the end of April. And then, as now, reading a news story that's even a day or two old can feel like it's from a different world. I thought of what I could say that would be meaningful in weeks or months. What notes of celebration that'll reach all of us who may have lost someone, or those of us who may be feeling anxious about any number of things that are still ahead of us in the future. When you started your program here at Penn, it was very different. You came to a campus that was bustling with activity. Faculty, staff, and students were waiting to welcome you into a tradition that's uniquely and proudly Penn. You learned Penn engineering specific things, such as how to compute in the fishbowl, and where to find free printing in engineering buildings, and free food on campus. You made close friends. You worked on projects in labs, participated in competitions, conceived and reduced to practice novel ideas, and of course, you pulled your fair share of all-nighters. When you returned to campus to begin this academic year, you were part of the community that welcomed our new students, and they were able to benefit from your experience and your place in Penn engineering. You also look forward to crossing the finish line and taking that final victory lap down Smith Walk in May. You could not have known that the year would end this way. None of us could have known. In my first letter to you, after the closing of Penn's campus to in-person instruction, I spoke specifically to the graduates of 2020. I told you this is not what I wanted for you. It still isn't. But it is, unfortunately, the set of circumstances within which we must now push forward. And when I decided how best to speak to all of you, it occurred to me that the unifying factor in these circumstances is uncertainty. Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman once said, quote, "I think when we know that we actually do live in uncertainty, then we ought to admit it. It's of great value to realize that we do not know the answers to different questions. This attitude of mind, this attitude of uncertainty, is vital to the scientist, and it is this attitude of mind which the student must first acquire." Feynman was absolutely right. We have to remind ourselves to acknowledge the simple fact that we're living in a rapidly changing world and acquire this attitude of uncertainty. But if the unifying theme of this time is uncertainty, surely there's another accompanying theme, perhaps even interwoven, a theme of optimism. The cliché that engineers are problem solvers is so true. You are less likely to focus on what others find overwhelming, and you are more likely to roll up your sleeves and get to work fixing the problem at hand. Indeed, you, as engineers, are suited to flourish during these difficult times. Possessing the spirit of an engineer is, after all, ultimately carrying on with a sense of optimism. We know that given enough time, caffeine, a 3D printer, and probably a Linux server, we can pretty much innovate our way out of any problem. We can readily see the spirit of optimism in how the Penn engineering community is working to respond to the pandemic through the production of critical items like face shields and ventilators, optimizing telemedicine technologies and predictive data models, and improving testing and tracing capabilities. I can also see this optimism in how each one of you chose to push forward and complete your degrees. Since late March, I've been checking in with many students, and I've heard how challenging the past few weeks were for you. Some of you were sheltered at home with your family members. You were constrained by a limited network and had to share limited bandwidth to pursue work and academic studies. To complete your courses, some of you had to wake up at extremely odd hours to attend lectures, to complete exams, or to conduct group meetings with colleagues that were scattered throughout the globe. Or maybe you had the experience of listening to a lecture and being interrupted by much younger siblings who don't really have much regard for the rigors of our curriculum. But with everything we've experienced, each of the students I spoke to also pointed out a silver lining. One remarked about it being nice not to walk to classes in bad weather. Another said that she had never gotten so much sleep before in her college career. Still another said that he learned just how much money he was spending on coffee. And several commented on the upgrade over dining halls on campus. And no matter what the obstacles, everybody has still been able to learn and graduate. I think if we stop to appreciate this significant achievement and how it was able to happen by all of us working together as a community, this moment is surely a bright spot in our times. I can assure you that I speak for all the faculty when I say how gratified we are that the virtual classroom exists, and that we can still connect with each other and mentor our students. After the extended spring break, it was such a delight to see all your faces again, if only on Zoom. I'm going to take a moment just to highlight a simple fact. We moved close to 300 classes online in under a month. Do you know that the tools that we use to make this happen, for example, Zoom, Slack, Dropbox, Google Drive, and Canvas, didn't even exist 10 years ago? Given the circumstances, we're fortunate that this pandemic did not happen a few years ago. It also helps us appreciate the innovations in technology over the past few decades that have enabled us to overcome the formidable challenges created by the coronavirus. There is no better time than today to be an engineer, and I'm confident that you, our graduates, are uniquely prepared to enter a world such as this one. You have already contributed to our collective efforts as an institution to battle this pandemic, and you have helped us lay the foundations to overcome the next crisis we may face. To the parents, family members, and friends of the graduates, this is not what I wanted for you either. I'm a parent of 2 Penn engineering graduates, and being able to watch your child walk across the stage to accept their diploma is a moment that leaves each one of us bursting with pride. I want to assure you that I and the rest of the Penn engineering community will work to host an in-person ceremony to fully celebrate your child's achievements and give you that moment to cherish. So while it's with a heavy heart that I'm being recorded in my home office, instead of standing in front of graduates and looking out at your smiling faces and seeing your proud family members and friends in person, I know we're still together in spirit. As we continue to move forward in the face of uncertainty, what I hope for each one of you is that you're finding a way to stay connected to your family and friends and your Penn engineering community, and you're paying close attention to what good leadership looks like, and that you continue to nurture those qualities in yourself. As you probably know, there's an unspoken rule at Penn that you cannot give a celebratory speech without referencing America's first engineer, Benjamin Franklin. I think if our own iconic statue of Franklin or Ben in the Bench, as he's affectionately known to all of us, could speak to all of you, first he would say, "Where is everybody?" And then he might pull out one of his classics, which is etched on the walk nearby. Quote, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." Unquote. It is my hope that at Penn we've done the last. I hope you feel you've been involved and that you've learned that Penn Engineering will always be a home to you, no matter where you may be in the world today or years from now, and you will always be welcome back here on campus. You're now a graduate of the School of Engineering and Applied Science at the University of Pennsylvania. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished. Please keep in touch. We want to hear about all the wonderful things you're doing. Don't forget us and don't forget your classmates. Visit, call, email, write, or if you prefer, just follow us and share pictures on social media. Just please stay in touch. Congratulations, Penn Engineering Class of 2020. My colleagues and I can't wait to see the future you'll create for all of us.
Hello, Priya. Congrats, Vida. My hardworking one. Love you. Stay safe. See you soon.
Congratulations, Sarah, on your graduation. We love you very much and are so proud of all you've accomplished. We only have 10 seconds, so read the subtitle.
Happy graduation, Frank!
We love you, Frankie!
Congratulations!
Yay!
Congratulations, Class of 2020. You've proven yourselves to be resilient and resourceful. Good luck to you all.
Anna, from us all, aus aller Welt, congratulations!
Congratulations, Charlie! खूब खूब अभिनंदन किरानी, खूब खूब अभिनंदन.
Eres nuestro orgullo. Tantas horas de estudio en tu vida, esta es tu recompensa.
Te lo mereces y todavía viene lo mejor.
Eres mi héroe, te queremos mucho.
Caroline, congratulations and wishing you great success.
Kyle, Rocky, we love you. You rock.
Pranav, congratulations on graduating college.
A very hearty congratulations. Well deserved. God bless.
Excited for the future, beta.
Congratulations, Dan. May you rise to every challenge and may the wind always be at your back.
Love you.
Cheers.
Hi, Jared. We're so proud of you and all of your accomplishments.
We can't wait to see what the future holds.
Congratulations to you and the class of 2020.
We love you.
To my nephew, Gabriel Smith, congratulations on your graduation. Hard work and resilience paid off. You have an awesome future in front of you. I love you.
Congratulations! Jeffrey, we're so proud of you. Best wishes for all your next adventures.
Hey, Jeffrey!
Hi, Jeffrey!
Congratulations on your graduation.
You have made us all very proud.
Jeffrey, we love you.
We love you, Jeffrey.
Congratulations, Gabriel. We love you. We love you. Cha cha cha.
Congratulations, Alexa. We're proud of you.
Congratulations, Joe Ockley! Woohoo! Class of 2020, you rock!
Congratulations to Rupa and all her friends for graduating from Penn.
Rupa, congratulations on your engineering degree. Job well done.
Congratulations, Dami. You did it. We are so proud of your efforts at Penn. All the best and good luck with everything.
Congratulations on your achievement today.
We're so proud of you.
We love you so much.
A diamond is a chunk of coal that does well under pressure. Congratulations to our diamond, Tyler Larkworthy, graduating Tau Beta Pi. Here's a little gift for you.
We love you.
Congratulations, Lily. We love you.
And we're so proud of you.
Good luck, class of 2020.
Hi, Maria. Congratulations from faraway India.
Congratulations, Maria.
Christian, we're so proud of you and everything you've accomplished at UPenn. We can't wait to see the next chapter.
Likewise, and we love you.
Lauren, we never had a doubt. Congratulations. We love you.
Congratulations, Harrison. What an amazing accomplishment. Penn Engineering Class of 2020.
Well done, H. We're so proud of you.
Love you so much.
Congratulations on your graduation. Mom and I could not have been more proud of what you've accomplished at UPenn in these past 4 years. Wishing you all the very best.
Congratulations, Elena.
We're so very proud of you. God bless you.
God bless you.
Derek, although your campus life has been cut short, you have gained a unique experience that you'll remember forever. Very proud of you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Andrew.
Congrats on graduating. You worked hard and grown so much, and we hope you can continue growing and dreaming big.
We are proud of you.
Christopher Pratt Foley.
Skipper.
Tucci. Happy graduation.
Also, I forgot the Hulu password.
Hey Greg, congratulations. We're so proud of you and all of your achievements. Good luck in your future endeavors, and we know that you will find success. We love you.
Congratulations, AJ. We knew you could do it.
We're super excited to see where your next journey goes. We
love you.
Congratulations, Allison. You did it. We're very proud of you.
We know that you're going to be successful in whatever you decide to do.
We love you.
After 4 tough years and having some fun, you did it. We're very proud of you, Megan.
Congratulations and happy graduation, Megan. Now, go change the world.
Congrats, David, on graduating from the engineering program. We love you and we're so proud of you. Your life begins now. Make every moment count.
Hannah Perlman. Congratulations. Love you, babe.
Ariel, we could not be more proud of you.
It's been an amazing journey.
Congratulations on your graduation.
Hi, Eddie. Congratulations on your graduation from UPenn, Mechanical Engineering School. Now the big stage of life beckons, and I think you're very well prepared for that, and that you'll have amazing success in your future life.
Congratulations to you. We are so proud of you. May all your dreams come true.
Soon another Penn alum in the family. Congratulations to you, Julie, for your successful undergraduate degree in engineering. So proud of you. Keep on dreaming. Enjoy life every day. Love you, Mom.
Hi, Meg. Congratulations on graduating.
미야, 너는 언제나 엄마의 행복이고 기쁨이었어.
미야, 수고했어. 졸업 축하해. 사랑해.
Chucks, keep your eye on the stars with your feet on the ground.
May your heart be filled with love. We
Love you so much. Congratulations!
Steven, we wish you the best of luck in this new chapter of life.
Follow your dreams no matter what obstacles you may face. Never stop learning and live life to the fullest. We are very proud of you, and remember, we love you.
Hi,
Maggie! Congratulations!
We are so proud of you.
You did it! We love you, Habibti!
Congratulations, Romit, on your graduation.
We are proud of you.
Congratulations. Wow, you did it.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And been a great journey. So proud of you.
Congratulations, honey. We love you.
Hey Claire, we love you. Remember what this guy said, life isn't short, it's the longest thing you do. Congratulations.
Sean, you dreamed of being a D1 student athlete and you did it.
As an All-American pole vaulter and now a Penn Engineering graduate.
Congratulations, we love you.
Hi, Ben.
We're so very proud of you.
And all your hard work towards your bioengineering degree at Penn. Congratulations on graduating.
COVID. Conquer oppression, victory, and defeat. Matthew, it only takes one to make a difference. Be that one. So proud of your achievements. Congratulations. Love you, Mom and Dad.
Congratulations, Lindsay.
And the entire class of 2020.
We are so proud of all that you've accomplished.
And can't wait to see what the future holds.
We love you, Liz.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Justin. We're very proud of you, and we're looking forward to celebrating with you at the Penn campus as soon as possible. We love you.
We are so proud of you, Abigail Zabo.
We love you. Congratulations, Meme 2020.
Go Crapper Damper.
Congratulations to the class of 2020 from Toronto, Canada.
So proud of each of you. We hope to see you soon at the active ceremony on campus.
Gabriel, we wish you the best. We love you. Congratulations.
Gabriel, continue to keep on dreaming and improving yourself. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Nicholas Parks.
On graduating from the University of Pennsylvania School of Engineering.
We're so incredibly proud of you.
Good luck in grad school.
Hi, Sam. We're super proud of you. Congratulations, bro.
We love you so much.
Congratulations, Arjun, on a story written well so far.
We look forward to some exciting chapters ahead. Keep learning and you'll have a lot to tell.
Congratulations to Jelly Do
and the Penn Engineering class of 2020.
Love and congratulations to my beautiful granddaughter Hannah from Gramps, a 1959 graduate of the Moore School.
Nickel Radha, we are very proud of you. Congratulations on your graduation and winning the President's Innovation Prize. Awesome job.
Our favorite Quaker, Catherine Crockrell. Congratulations on your graduation and all you have achieved. We are so proud. Our hearts are filled with respect, admiration, and most of all, love.
We love you, Catherine.
It's so nice to have all five of us saying congratulations to you.
Shantanu, congratulations for your graduation.
Great job, Tatu.
Congrats.
Congratulations on your graduation, Connor. We are so proud of you.
And we're sure there's more to come.
Love you.
Congratulate all the graduates at Penn Engineering Class 2020, but most especially our wonderful daughter, Juliana. Juju, well done. We are very proud of you.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
And especially to Emily. We're so proud of all you've accomplished. Go Quakers!
Quakers!
Congrats, Julia and the class of 2020. May the seashells on the beach remind you of the little treasures that arrive in life every day. Congratulations.
Congrats!
Congrats on your well-deserved success.
We are so proud of you. Love you.
Hey Eric, congrats on graduating. Welcome to adulthood.
Matthew Steinberg, we are so proud of you today and every day. Congratulations to you and your classmates on earning your Bachelor of Science in Engineering. Woohoo!
Dearest Nika, we are so proud of you. You have engineered, sang, and baked your way through Penn. We couldn't be more proud. We love you.
You always amaze us with your intellect, your beauty, and your talent. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Congratulations, Lauren. We love you. Dad is very proud of you.
We are so proud of you.
Dear Sam, congratulations.
Great choices on Penn and Nets.
At Penn, you may be the big graduating senior, but to us, you're still our little baby.
Your best days are ahead of you. Felicitaciones, Michelangela. Hoy te gradúas. 4 años se pasaron volando. 4 años de mucho trabajo, mucho esfuerzo, dedicación. Y tú siempre ahí con una sonrisa en los labios. Eres increíble.
Miquelita querida, hija de mi corazón, estoy muy orgulloso de ti, de todo lo que has logrado en tu vida, en tus estudios. Yo sé que tú vas a lograr más y lo único que puedo sentir por ti, aparte de amor, es mucho orgullo.
Hola, Miquelita. Felicitaciones. Qué orgullo por ti. Tu abuela te adora, te quiere y te admira. Eres lo máximo.
Tony, congratulations for your graduation. We are very proud of you and love you, my son. Good luck with your future.
Veer.
Viru!
Choo choo.
Veery. Congratulations
To Veer Sopti.
The class of 2020.
Congratulations, Andy Nyholm.
We're so proud of you and excited to see everything great to come.
Congratulations on your graduation.
I'm proud of you for holding up the family tradition.
Congratulations, Ben. We're very proud of you.
We love you, Ben.
Sanjit, hey, congratulations on your graduation. I am so incredibly proud of you. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. I love you so much.
Congratulations on your graduation day, Sergio.
Amazingly so, you made it.
We're so proud of everything you have accomplished and the person you have become. Felicitaciones!
Buena vez, mijín.
Jack Belwar, we could not be prouder of you. Since birth, you have never ceased to amaze us with your ingenuity and intellect. Your potential is unlimited.
Now believe in yourself, bet on yourself, and go out and make your mark on the world. We love you, Jack.
Congratulations, Kyler.
We love
you.
Go Penn
Engineering.
Congratulations on graduation, Kyler. God bless you. We love you.
Congratulations, Andrew. Look what you've done.
Eli, I love you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Andrew. I just want to tell you how very proud your father and I are of you and what an amazing accomplishment you've achieved today.
Congratulations! We're so proud of you. You did awesome.
Many more great things to come.
You are unstoppable. Sky's the limit.
All the best!
Grace, your whole family loves you very much and is extremely proud of you. Congratulations on a job well done.
Hi Somil, congratulations on your graduation. We all family members are proud of your outstanding achievement and wish you all the best for your bright and challenging future ahead. Good luck.
Congratulations, Eddie. We are so proud of you.
We can't wait to see what you accomplish after graduation.
Mazel tov.
Wes, UPenn became a goal of yours in 6th grade.
We love you, Wes.
Wes, you've always been so smart and funny looking. All your hard work is finally paying off.
We couldn't be prouder, Wes.
Congratulations, Wes.
Mehmetcancığım yolun açık olsun. Bundan sonra her şey gönlünce olur inşallah.
Başarının devamını diliyorum canım oğlum.
Seni çok seviyoruz Mehmet.
Seni çok seviyorum.
Congratulations, Tessa Bloomer. I love you. I am so proud of you.
Congratulations, Reno. You've come a long way from here to here.
We're proud of you and we love you.
You did it. Class of 2020.
Hadley Munson from Boulder, Colorado.
That's a wrap.
Congratulations as you approach your graduation of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences at University of Pennsylvania in May 2020.
Arnav, what an amazing and inspiring journey at Penn.
We love your creativity, curiosity, and humility.
Live your dreams
and change this world.
Congratulations, Jennifer. We are so incredibly proud of you and the amazing person that you are. Always do your best and stay true to yourself.
Hey Shaker, it's Mom and Dad from Hawaii. Congratulations.
Congratulations, honey.
You get a pikaki when you get home. Love you.
Congratulations, Clement. Proud of you.
You did it. We never doubted you.
Congratulations, Spencer.
We're so proud of you and all that you've accomplished.
We wish you the best of everything.
Can't wait to see what you do next.
Love you to the moon and back.
Congratulations, Callista, on your 2020 University of Pennsylvania college graduation.
We love you and we are so proud of you.
Madeline, you worked so hard to get to this point in your life.
We're really proud of you.
Congratulations, honey. Love you.
Congratulations, Gabe. We love you.
Congratulations, Sophie. We're so proud of you.
It seems like only yesterday we were dropping you off at orientation and getting these nifty hats.
We love you.
Hi, Matthew. Congratulations on your graduation. We're so proud of you and everything you accomplished in 4 years. You got involved and did a lot and excelled. Love you.
Love you, Matthew. Congratulations, Dell.
We
we are so proud of you.
The future is yours.
We love you!
Congratulations, Josh, on your Penn graduation.
We wish you lots of luck in the future.
We love you so much and we're so proud of you.
Congratulations, Gabe!
We're really proud of you. You worked really hard. Great job, bud. Woo!
We have no doubt you will continue to soar as you have done since the day you were born.
Sending you love and joy on this tremendous day from our entire family.
Congratulations, Audrey and the class of 2020.
We're so proud of you.
We love you, Audrey. We love you, Aud. Congrats.
Congratulations, Kemi. This is such a major accomplishment and we are so proud of you. We love you so much.
I love you, Kemi. Congratulations.
Julie, 10 secondes, c'est pas bien long, mais c'est largement suffisant pour te dire combien je t'aime, combien je te trouve formidable et combien je suis fier de toi. Bravo.
We're Scott and Jen Talley, parents of John, who you may know better as Jack.
Very proud of you all. Congratulations.
Great job, Jack.
Eddie, congratulations. You did it. Funny times, but future's looking bright. So well done in your degree and we shall celebrate later.
Yeah, congrats, mate. You know, there were some doubts in there, but you know, you made it through, so that's all I can say. Hats off to you, mate.
Love and congratulations to Marty Ryder and the class of 2020 Penn Engineers. Marty, I'm so proud of you.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Vishal, you've worked very hard, you've done a great job, and we're very proud of you.
Congratulations!
Congratulations, Rahul, and to the class of Penn 2020.
We are all very proud of you, Rahul. Thanks to the Penn Engineering Department and all the best for your future endeavors.
Congratulations, baby girl, you did it. I am so proud of you for holding fast to the Word of God during your 4 years at Penn. I love you so much and I'm so proud of you. Mwah.
Congratulations, Sophie. So excited for you as you start this next chapter.
Hello, Huang Huize. Congratulations. Wishing you great ambition and happiness.
Hi, my dear sister. Happy graduation. Wishing you all the excitement of the challenge of the happiness life call home. 我爱你。
承先祖之精髓，继科学之求真，水击万里，翱翔霄汉，奇跃至极。
Hey Gabs, congrats on graduating. We're so proud of you.
We're so excited for you.
Love you.
希望你永远年轻，永远热泪盈眶。Hi, Huize. Congratulations. Graduate on all that you have accomplished, and good luck in all that you will achieve. I'm very proud of you, and I love you.
Hello, Huize. You are the best trainee in my team. I wish you realize your dreams.
Dave, you nailed it, champ. Attain new heights and reach the apex of success. Love you. Stay blessed.
Hey Pete, congratulations. Super proud of you, bro. Love you.
Heartiest congratulations on your success, Ritika. I hope you keep achieving great heights in your life. Love you, Motu.
Peter, we're here with your grandparents. We are very proud of the hard work and commitment to excellence that's brought you here.
Congratulations,
We love
Peter.
you.
We love you.
Hey, so congrats. Really proud of you for finishing up, persevering through some adversity. Congrats to all your classmates, and good luck.
Hey, Eric.
Congratulations. We're very proud of you.
We wish you the best for your future.
Sophie, congratulations. You are smart, funny, lovely, adventurous. You are on top of the world. Proud of you. Love you, my daughter. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mike.
Congrats, Mike. We're so proud of you.
Congratulations on your graduation, Gabs. Love you so much and can't wait to spend this amazing day with you.
Sophie Sue Trotto, of the many amazing things about you, one of the biggest is that you elected to hike the Appalachian Trail on the little time you've had off from school. It's incredible.
Hi Sophie, congratulations on your graduation.
You're about to blaze a new trail and we wish you all the luck in the world.
We love you.
Hi Huize, congratulations from Beijing. I hope all the best for you and I'm giving you a big hug. I love you.
Happy graduation.
Good luck for you. Success.
All the best, Mikey.
Selamat ya.
Hi Huize, happy graduation. Wish you a bright future.
Congratulations, Sophie. We're so proud of you. On to the next phase. Sophie, you did it. We love you. Your favorite old people.
Congratulations! We're so proud of you.
We're so excited about your graduation. We just all wanted to say, congratulations, Sophie. Love you.
Congratulations, class of 2020, at this important milestone in your life. And best wishes for your continuing success. Once again, enjoy the rest of your life.
And Kushagra, you made a right choice. Looking back, it was all worth it. And your hard work and dedication has made us feel proud of you. We congratulate you on a forwarding step towards your successful career.
Congratulations, my dear son.
Congratulations, Penn.
We are proud of you.
I'm so proud of all the hard work that you've put into this degree and all the hard work you've put into the other areas of your life. You know, somehow managing to balance all of that at once. You're amazing, and I love you, and congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. I sincerely wish you a bright future and just enjoy the new state of your life.
Hello, Huize. I am in Shenzhen of China. Wish you have a happy graduations. This is your moment.
Sophie, we're so proud of you. Master of Data Science.
5 great years at Penn.
Congratulations, Sophie.
Hi, Huize. Congratulations on graduation and good luck in all that you will achieve.
在这特殊时刻，我俩和外婆一起祝万千学业有成，圆满毕业。
Rahul Beta, congratulations to you and fellow Penn engineers for completing your masters. We are proud of you. God bless you all.
Congratulations, Mike, Mom and Dad here. We have been to all your graduations to this point in time and are delighted to attend this accomplishment. Your Master's in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Pennsylvania. Love.
Mom and Dad. Love you, Mike.
Dear MRIM students, congratulations. We, the entire department, are really proud of you. I know this hasn't been easy, particularly this last semester. These are trying times for sure, but you're talented and you are prepared to face this challenge. Please stay healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Congratulations again.
Congratulations, graduates. We are so proud of you, and we can't wait to see what you're going to accomplish.
Hello, Nano Masters graduates. Good luck to all of you.
Congrats to the class of 2020 from the CIS Advising Department.
Congratulations to all the graduates of the Computer and Information Science Department. We know it's been a long journey in getting here, and we're incredibly privileged to have been part of it.
We also know that this marks the beginning of a new chapter for all of you, and we're really excited to see what you do next.
I want to wear as much engineering swag as I possibly could to say congratulations to the class of 2020. Hats off.
Congratulations, ESE class of 2020.
Congratulations and best wishes, MSc class of 2020.
Congratulations to all from the MSc staff. We love you.
Love you.
Hello, you MSc graduates. Bloody good job. My hat goes off to you.
Congratulations, class of 2020. On behalf of the Bioengineering Department, we wish you the very best.
Congratulations, graduates. We are very proud of you and all your accomplishments.
Congratulations, class of 2020. Woohoo! It's been an honor to have you in my classes. I wish you only the best and much success as you enter this new world filled not only with incredible challenges, but also an amazing set of new opportunities.
Don't forget, growth always comes from the tough times, but always find a reason to smile. Now go change the world.
For all of you students that have graduated with degrees in chemical and biomolecular engineering, I want to add my personal congratulations to you. And also on behalf of the CB department, congratulations from the entire faculty and staff. We're very proud of all your accomplishments. We're proud of the fact you may able to endure the second half of the semester where everything's been online. We wish we could be with you on this special day, but nonetheless, we're extremely proud of you. We expect great things from you in the future, and please stay in touch.
I enjoyed teaching you in CBE 400. I wish you well, and I look forward to celebrating you when the coronavirus pandemic is over.
Class of 2020, on behalf of all the faculty and staff in the Department of Electrical and Systems Engineering, I would like to congratulate you for your well-deserved academic success. This is a very special graduation for a very special class to us. I'd like to wish you all the best in your future adventures, and I hope to see you again soon.
Dear graduating students of Penn Engineering class of 2020, congratulations. We are very proud of the dedication that you have shown to stay the course and get the job done, even during this very challenging crisis. So congratulations again, and wish you the very best for an exciting journey ahead.
Congratulations and good luck.
Well done, NanoMasters graduates. We're really proud of you.
Congratulations to all of our biotech graduates. We wish you all the best.
Congratulations to the class of 2020.
Congratulations, class of 2020. We miss you.
Congratulations for all the work and perseverance you've put in. Take good care.
Congratulations. Make us proud.
To the class of 2020 Masters of Biotechnology, congratulations on your graduation.
Congratulations all to all our graduates. So well deserved. Best wishes. Stay healthy, stay well.
Here's a hearty congratulations to all of our graduates for all of your hard work, determination, and efforts.
Congratulations, I'm so proud of you.
Congratulations, graduates. You worked so hard for this moment, and you deserve every second of it.
Hello, my name is Andreas Heberlin. I'm the undergraduate chair for Penn CAS, and I just wanted to say congratulations. I know that you all worked very hard for this, and we're all very proud of you.
Congratulations, Penn Bioengineering class of 2020 from Dr. Kremens and the entire Kremens lab.
Congratulations, class of 2020. We are so incredibly proud of all of your hard work and can't wait to hear about your future accomplishments. We wish you all the best.
Congrats to our bioengineering class of 2020 graduates.
Congratulations, graduates. It's wonderful to be a Penn grad.
I'd like to congratulate all Penn engineering graduates. Wow, good job. So now go and change the world right here.
Congratulations to the class of 2020. We're proud of you. You rock.
Congratulations to all my students and all you've accomplished. Today we celebrate you. I couldn't be prouder.
Congratulations, class of 2020, and a special shout out to ESC Senior Design. To my Deadkin team, I will really miss you all.
Folks, I want to express my total admiration for your extraordinary academic work and your indomitable spirit that has shown the world that you have what it takes to succeed, not just in ordinary times, but when the going is very tough.
Congratulations, you made it. Now go change the world.
As Chair of Mechanical Engineering and Applied Mechanics, I want to wish all our 2020 graduates a heartfelt congratulations. The MEAN faculty are extremely proud of all that you've accomplished over the past 2 years and can't wait to see what you do next.
Congratulations on this awesome achievement.
Congratulations, data science grads. Use data for good.
The computer is waiting for instructions. Set it to tackle the big problems.
Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors. Keep in touch.
Congratulations, Nanomasters.
May the road rise up to meet you. Congratulations, class of 2020.
MEME, Robo, Integrated Product Design, congratulations.
Congratulations, MSE class of 2020. Stay in touch.
Yay!
Yay! Woohoo!
You have done a great job. Congratulations to all of you. We are very proud of you.
Congratulations and best wishes to all of our CBE graduates.
Congratulations, Mechanical Engineering and IPD graduates. We wish you the best.
Yay!
Congratulations, Electrical and Systems Engineers. With your ability to analyze, model, compute, embed, network, control, and optimize everything, we know that you're ready to make this complicated and uncertain world better.
Congratulations, seniors. I'm so excited for you to finish CBE. You've done a lot of work. We've had a very challenging spring with online learning, COVID-19, all these crazy things that happened. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Penn Engineering Class of 2020, for your courage. You made it, and we are proud of you.
Hi, I wanted to congratulate all of our engineering graduates, but I particularly wanted to congratulate the CIS undergraduates and the robotics master students. We're really proud of all of you guys.
Congratulations, class of 2020. I look forward to shaking your hand soon, but until then, stay safe.
On behalf of all my Penn Engineering colleagues, I'd like to wish each and every one of you my warmest congratulations. We cannot wait to see the future you will create for all of us. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.